Welcome to the Working Wellbeings podcast. David, lovely to meet you.
Pleasure, Matt. Thank you.
Do you want to introduce yourself for our
Sure,
listeners?
absolutely. Yeah, my name's David O'Coyman. I'm the director and founder of Nook.
Yeah.
And Nook was...
I was going to say, what's a Nook? But
Yeah, well, we're in one, absolutely, yeah. And so a Nook is a little mindful space to escape the noise, escape the overstimulation of the world. It was created in Bristol 10 years ago
okay.
as an antidote to how open plan office had become. And in particular, as a protection for quiet minds and quiet moments. I was really thinking about introverts when I came up with Nook. I didn't know much about neurodiversity at the time, so I've learned a lot since then.
Yeah, lovely. And how does it work? Yeah, how does it? Because it really kills the noise, doesn't
it? It really does. The really interesting thing about it is it's not just the noise that it's killing, it's the high frequency noise that it's killing. So we can still hear the world, but it feels softer. We can hear each other really clearly because a lot of the scratchy high frequency stuff is gone. Also, when you step inside, there's a psychological effect of it too. Your sort of nervous system relaxes a little bit. You kind of cast off anxieties about what's behind you because there's kind of no surprises in here. And you stop sort of needing to shout to be heard. That's an exaggeration, but you know, you can soften how you broadcast and that saves your energy and also feels a little bit conspiratorial. So it's a lot about the architecture, about the size of the space, that's intimate but without being too close. We have a nice space in between us, but we're still quite intimate compared to in this big environment that's also kind of representative of what a workplace or a education space or a hospital might be like too. So it just creates a little bit.
Yeah, and it's clever with the open side. I'm just checking if the cameras could see this, but it's clever with the open side because I've been in these pods that are all that kind of all-encompassing pods where you close the door and, you know, they have a certain place, right? And they really kills the noise in there, but
Sure do.
I quite like being kind of still outside.
And the magic of it, it's also the challenge of it a little bit because we get asked a lot, can we get it with doors? And we're really resisting that because there's plenty of other great pod manufacturers that do doors. What I want to do is to give us this feeling that we have here without the isolation. I want people to still stay connected to the space that they went to for a reason, but I do want to create a door. I want to create a soft door, if you will. And what happens if you're in a workplace, for example, and you go into the Nook and someone's looking for you, they'll go, where's Matt? Oh, he's in the Nook. That's not so important. I'll catch him later type of thing. Or, oh, he's obviously gone in there for a reason. So it's like we're signaling as opposed to creating hard barriers that say, go away, you can't disturb me. Just trying to create understanding between people.
Got it. So I've jumped straight into the product. I should ask more about it, and that was my fault because, like I say, it's fascinating in terms of how it works, and it may not come across on the recording, but it really kills the sound. But what's your background? Like, what led you to that point in Bristol?
I'm a product designer.
Right, okay.
So I'm always wandering the world, imagining better futures and trying to plot ways to kind of get there. And the driver behind Nook was I was working for a very large global organization with 170,000 people. I was a product manager, so I was traveling the world and I got to see all these offices that I guess in advance I was like, oh, I'm going to see some of the most people-centric spaces that exist. But to be honest, I was left despondent. And I was left feeling that I think maybe we allow the extroverts and the extrovert moments to define what the office should look like. And we're trying to drive water cooler moments. We're trying to drive engagement. But actually the outcome is we've driven it down because we took away everybody's walls. We took away everybody's safety and the sense of intimacy. And so now we put our walls back on again, whether it's just with our minds or with earphones or with, our frustrations. And it just kills our ability to focus and our engagement with our colleagues. And I just, my way of operating is to try and come up with ways of solving those things, like solutions to that. And I was thinking, okay, I'm not an interior designer, I'm not an architect, but could I come up with a product? And I've always been fascinated. Like one of my favorite places growing up was my grandmother's house, which was kind of like family central. But my favorite place in my grandmother's house was underneath her dining table. I'm a kid now, right? Not an adult. Still my favorite place. Yeah, exactly. So I used to love being present,
Yeah.
but not being in the spotlight.
Got you.
And I loved the space underneath the stairs, and I loved kind of micro homes, prefab, Japanese apartments, this kind of style.
Yeah.
So this was about recreating a little bit of that intimacy in big spaces.
Yeah, it's interesting you said that. I was at a large employer, I won't name it, but yesterday actually, in the big open plan office, and look, it was lovely. It was lovely, and it was bright, and it was colourful, and all the rest of it. But I noticed everybody sat with their headphones on.
Are you serious?
Everybody.
Really?
Yeah. Not a huge amount of collaboration going on, to be perfect.
Those are walls.
Yeah.
That is your protection.
Yeah.
And you're also protecting your focus, and you're protecting your ability to do the work that the organization is sort of demanding of you. Yeah. So the organization says, we need you to be productive, and we need to turn this work out that, you know, that we're paying you for. But at the same time, then it goes, and here's a circus that we want you to do it in. Yeah. And there's like juggling going on around you, and there's people like me going, Matt, across your head, and grabbing your attention, because I can't tell when you're busy and when you're not, or when you're really focused and when you're not, because you look the same at your desk all the time. Yeah. So I'll disturb you anytime.
Yes. Yeah.
And so this is about just creating a little bit of softness and a bit of signal, and giving people choice, because I think at the heart of sort of inclusivity in the workplace is choice.
Yeah. So how did you find the pandemic affected the need or the want for this sort of space? Because obviously, you know, a lot of people moved out of the office, right? And now they're moving back. And does it? Yeah.
During the pandemic, it destroyed it.
Okay.
And then after the pandemic, it amplified it.
Okay. Interesting.
So what we did was, because as I said, 10 years, so we were established already by the time the pandemic came along. And we had so we sell to workspace, education, healthcare, etc. But back then we were really just selling to workspace and renting out to events. We also have a fleet of them that we rent out to events, have done for quite a while. When the pandemic hit, what are we going to do with these nooks? Yeah. So essentially we did a shout out to the NHS and we said, you guys are going through an awful time at the moment. Your staff must be absolutely run ragged in the circumstances. Would you like to have these free of charge? Right. They'll stay ours, but while you need them, we'd love them to be doing something meaningful instead of gathering dust in a warehouse. Yeah. Why don't you take them? And a whole bunch of trusts put their hands up and said, yes, please. And so they went in and they really, really helped. I mean, the reports that we got back was just like, they're a sanctuary space. They're a space that really makes a difference, you know, in all of this turmoil. And then pandemic comes to an end. Yeah. And we're like, okay, we're going to need these back again. Is that okay? No. That's not okay. Yeah. This is a really meaningful asset in our real estate now. We move them around a lot. Our people are relying on them. Visitors coming in now in quite a stressed state. Yes. They're needing them. So next thing you know, we've got a healthcare business. And we did the same. We donated some out to schools in that time too, because there was times where school was still in during the pandemic, or in and around it. Yeah. So they were used for that. And since we've come back, I think people are a little bit more able to put their hand up and say, I'm overwhelmed. Okay. Yeah. You know, one of the biggest complaints in workplace these days is noise. Noise leading to disturbance, leading to lack of focus. Yeah. We're also a little bit able to put our hand up and say ADHD, autism, or be part of that conversation, at least to say, even if we're not identifying ourselves, we're saying we wish the workplace was better in that regard. So that's all helped greatly to move us forward.
Yeah, the reason I asked is because, you know, we kind of opened Pandora's box with remote working for a lot of organizations, and they've gone away from these large open plan offices that they were working in, and they might really like it. And then it can be quite difficult to get them back into the workplace. And I would have thought install some of these, and actually it gives them a space. It gives them the choice that you talked about before.
It is a meaningful tool in that respect. We've seen that, because I think one of the challenges for organizations is being truthful, being really honest about it. Organizations want to get people back in the workplace because they're paying for the workplace. Sure. Like they have all these square meters that they're paying for, and often you'll find in the triangle of an organization, the extroverts tend to rise to the top, and so the extroverts are like, get back here and let's all get together and we're all going to have a, you know, and people, you know, have gone home and gone, actually, I'd like a bit of that, but I also really want to still have this. So one of the ways to get people back to the workplace is to go, come here and you can get stuff that you can't get at home. Yeah. So let's make it work. Yeah. Home can be good for certain things, but come back here because you have mentorship, you have intergenerational, you know, colleagues that you can learn from. You have our brand, you have training and education, we have events, we'll have great food, maybe we have amazing furniture, things that you wouldn't ordinarily have at home. I think workspace needs to, you know, evolve towards that a little bit if it's going to attract people back, instead of just going, get back here. Yeah. Because when you just say get back here and you don't really incentivize it, people leave eventually, and they'll find organizations that do it.
You know? Absolutely. In space, it's interesting that space doesn't come up as much as I would have thought it would. You know, you just look at today and you look at all the different suppliers that are here.
Yeah.
There's not very many that are focused on the workspace itself.
Really not.
Physical working environment. Whereas that's
Absolutely.
a huge part of your experience day to day at work. Right?
And it's an extraordinary opportunity too.
Yeah,
this is the really interesting thing about it. Like if you focus on your lighting, your furniture, your organization of the space into zones, you're thinking about whether it's carpet or hardwood, what the colors are on the walls and what they communicate, what the wayfinding looks like. People's experience in the space absolutely changes, and how they feel about you as a brand absolutely changes. Their productivity changes, connections between colleagues change. People who are closer connected to each other tend to stay in organizations longer.
Yes.
People who are happier in work tend to get sick less, and so you get less turnover. It all leads to positive outcomes for the organization, but the challenge is that's long-term thinking, and we're kind of programmed for short-term thinking, and we need to get out of that a little bit. Instead of thinking about this month's numbers or this quarter's numbers, we need to be thinking a little bit more long-term. How can we get people back to the workplace in meaningful ways, and how can we hold on to them longer as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, like I said, it was just a thought that came to me. Have you come across the well-building standard?
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
And I'm delighted to be able to tell you that we're now members.
Great.
Recently.
Yeah.
Something
that wasn't planned, by the way.
No, I didn't tell you to say that at all.
You didn't tell me that.
I'm so glad you brought it up, because it's something that has been difficult for us for a long time, because we don't really fit, because I refused to let them rate us by acoustics, because obviously if I put a door on this, it would have a 40 decibel acoustic rating, whereas this, I can hear that right there. But that's my point about it, is that it doesn't need, acoustics are kind of pointless. Not entirely pointless, they're very valuable. But if all you're doing is measuring one against another based on decibels, you're missing the point. So we have been working with them for a long time, and I'm delighted to say that we found a way to come on board, because the Well Institute has enacted new standards around neuroinclusivity.
Interesting.
And so Nook is a third-party certified sensory support space. So we were able to show that to Well, along with a whole bunch of other documentation and anecdotal evidence, and working with Sensory Street and Autism Plus and a couple of other organizations. And they will go, yes, brilliant, come on in. And now we're working to get onto their Works with Well program, which is an accreditation for product, to be able to say, if you put this product in your space, it will add to your Well points.
Yeah, I love it.
Isn't it brilliant?
Yeah,
amazing.
It is brilliant. And like I said, that wasn't queued
I
up.
can't believe
that
it.
was
That's so good.
Just look.
And you know what? That's also what this whole business is also allowing us to do, which is really interesting, which seems a little bit off center. Is we recently, in partnership with Autism Plus and a really important partner of ours called AmbiSpace, we opened a retail unit in a shopping mall.
Okay. Yeah.
Exactly. That is exactly the answer I expect. Okay.
Yeah.
It's called the Nook Stop. And it's about putting neuroinclusivity right on the high street, or right in the middle of where we really are doing important things. Shopping, which we all have to do, which is discombobulating, is a sensory overwhelm, even if you aren't particularly vulnerable to that. So what we want to do is sort of on the high street, put spaces where people can just come and have a moment. And it's unbelievable what you can achieve in 15 minutes of mindful reset. And so we've started that in a shopping mall in Doncaster, and then we're talking to a couple of other organizations. We did something with an old Debenhams ground floor on the high street in Bristol. It's now a skateboard park, but it's full of nooks.
Really? Yeah.
And there are event nooks. And so we have an arrangement with them. It's free of charge to them. And when the nooks are needed for events, we pull, not all of them, but most of them out. Like these nooks actually belong in Bristol, in that Debenhams. And so they're going back there, and they do, young adult training and mentorship and workshops and markets and all this kind of stuff, trying to get people sort of off the street and into education and connecting with each other, stuff like that.
No, I love that. I love that.
Lovely opportunity.
So, last couple of minutes, what's the best workplace you've ever been? You must have visited lots of places.
Oh, good of a question. I'll tell you my favorite workplace rather than say best, because my favorite workplace is co-working. Because look, I'm a sensory seeker myself. I hate routine. I'm always looking for change.
Interesting.
So, my best workplace today is my boring workplace of tomorrow. Because I want the next one and the next one and the next one. And so a co-working that I partner with in Amsterdam called Be Amsterdam. And it's, huge, and it's dynamic, and there's all sorts of interaction things going on, and meet the neighbors, you know, kind of festivals and things going on in the canteen, and they have padel courts, and they have, you know, amazing interaction. They have like 1,000 events there in different spaces over the course of the year. That really feeds me.
Yeah.
You know, so I love an environment that has all that kind of stuff going on. And they've got a really great sort of interior design, sort of philosophy around having all these different kinds of spaces that you can step in and out of depending on what your needs are in the moment. And for me, that's kind of really important.
I feel like the future could be more co-working spaces, right?
I think so too. And I think, you know, you talked about the pandemic. There's a whole raft of change that still hasn't hit the ground on that, because organizations haven't maybe hit their rental break moments since then. But as soon as they do, they're going to be looking to downsize. They're going to be looking to take spaces that make more sense, and maybe even partner with co-working, or maybe even move towards co-working, or take spaces here, but co-working memberships with organizations so that their people can work in third spaces and things like that. I think that's a huge part of what the future looks like as well.
I agree with you. We'll see what comes.
Yeah, exactly. Exciting times.
So look, we'll finish up there. It's been fascinating talking to you. Thank you so much for letting us use the Nook, not only for this conversation now, but also for a couple of other podcasts that we're doing at this.
Has it been useful?
Absolutely, yeah. What it's allowed us to do actually is do a bit of 2-on-2. So, you know, we can fit more people in here. It's snug, but there's plenty of space for people. And it's been really, really helpful on that front. So thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah, we do have deeper versions of the product. We have single person product. We have accessible products, which is basically just shelters, so you can bring a wheelchair in, or you can use your own furniture, which is also more affordable, which is an important part to us too. If you care about inclusivity, you should care about affordability as well. So thanks for the opportunity to talk about it, and also great to see you guys making great use of it too, because that makes me very proud.
Appreciate it. And last up, you need to give yourself a plug. Where can people find these Nooks?
Very simply, just look for us on nookpod, NOOKPOD.com, and you'll find all our socials there too. And we keep really active on our socials. We love telling stories. So please, you know, tell your story, and you know, reach out to us. We love to converse and learn.
Excellent. Thank you so much for your time today, and enjoy the rest of the day. Cheers.
You too. Take care.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Working Wellbeings podcast. This one was recorded inside a Nook pod, and honestly, it was a game changer. Even in a busy event space, it creates that calm, one-to-one feeling that you can probably hear in the conversation. And if you want to find out more or get in touch with the team, there's a link in the description below.